Hello everyone, my name is Alex Mills and I am the Psychology Department Participant Pool Coordinator. As you start to formulate your study, some of you might end up needing to use UMW's Pool for Participants. So that is what I will be talking about in this video, how to set up an in-person study using the SONA system. The first step before you get started on SONA is of course to get IRB approval. Once you are approved, you will receive an email with your approval letter. Note, please hang on to this as you will need it later in the process. You will also need to reserve a room that your study will take place in. Alright, to watch an updated video on how to reserve a room in Mercer, click the link above. Remember, you have to reserve a room before you can perform your study in any of the rooms in Mercer, and it has to be approved by me, so allow some time. And you're going to need to do this before you start the process of uploading your study to SONA, because at the end you will need to put in the room number you are using if you're doing an in-person study. So remember to get that done and plan accordingly. All right, enough talking about room reservations. Let's get back to talking about SONA. All right, so once you have approval for a room and from IRB, you can start setting up your study in the SONA systems. To get to SONA, you're going to type umw.sona-systems.com. And that should take you to the participant pool sign up page. So every researcher in your group is going to use this as your format to log in. You will use the username at the beginning of your email as both your user ID and password. So someone named Fake Researcher, their user ID would be fresearcher, and then their password would be fresearcher as well. Okay, so once you sign in, go to your profile and change your password located here. This is important to keep your account secure. All right, so once you change your password, it's time to submit your study. Only one researcher from your group should do this. So you're going to go and add new study, and then you're going to click the study type. So most studies are going to be standard studies where it only requires a participant to show up once. So you should only choose multi-part standard study if you require the participants to show up more than once at a different time. All right, now we're going to hit continue. All right, so now we want to enter the following information. So your study name should be something unique to your study. So if you're running multiple iterations of your study, you should make sure to name them different things. So for example, you're running a pilot study and then the actual study. So for instance, a study name could be facial expressions and GSR. All right, so then under brief abstract, you're going to write a little bit about your study, so preferably one sentence. This is what participants will see when choosing which study to participate in on their homepage. So for example, you can put a study about the processing of emotional facial expressions. All right, so now we're going to go to our detailed description. So you will want to describe what the participants will actually experience in your study if they choose to participate. You should be able to strike a good balance between being descriptive and vague, so as to not give away what your study is about. So it might be a good idea to use some of the language from your informed consent. So for example, you can put, in the study, participants will measure galvanic skin response, then small changes in sweat on your fingers. Okay. So then we're going to go to eligibility requirements. So you're going to write down anything that may disqualify participants from participating. So example, it could be must be right-handed. Or if you're doing something, a study about relationships, then you could put must be in a relationship. So, and if you don't have it, you just leave it blank. Right, so now the duration. So when putting in this, you need to put it in intervals of 30 minutes. So for example, if your study takes anywhere between 5 to 30 minutes, you're going to put in 30 minutes. But if your study is anywhere between 31 minutes and 60 minutes, you're going to put 60 minutes. So the participants are looking to earn 5 credits through studies, and every 30 minutes of a study equates to 0.5 credits. So a study that's an hour would be 1 credit. All right, so please do not guess at this number. You should pilot your study before submitting to the database to confirm exactly how long your study will take to run. You will have disgruntled participants if you keep them longer than the time you indicated, and it is a waste of a credit to let them go earlier than you indicated. So now we're going to credits. So participants receive a half a credit per half hour of participation. If your study is between 1 and 30 minutes, then you should enter 0.5 credits. If your study is between 31 minutes and 60 minutes, you should enter 1 credit. So if my study was 30 minutes, it's going to be 0.5 credit. All right, so if you need the participants to do anything for the study, put it here under preparation. Like if they should not drink caffeine for a certain amount of time before coming to participate. So for example, you could put don't drink caffeine 4 hours before participating in this study. All right, so now for researcher. From this researcher list here, you're going to click over everybody in your team. So I would suggest to search them by their last name so you make sure you have the right person. So all you would do is search them and then just click them. And if you have the wrong person, you can just click on it and put it again. Your name should already be at the list. I'm test student for now, but it would have my name up. All right, so for principal investigator, this would be your teams or methods professor. So you can just click that and pick whichever professor you have. You should be able to find his or her name on the drop-down menu. If you have more than one principal investigator or supervisor, you should ask them whose name to enter, as you can only enter one PI. Your principal investigator will be able to view your study details from his or her account. All right, so as for the IRB approval code, you do not need this because you're going to be uploading a copy of your IRB as the final step of this process, so don't worry about it. So it's not going to say that your study is approved because your study needs to be approved by me. But once I approve it, it will say that it is approved. And then you also want to click yes, this is an active study, because otherwise it will not show up on the list of possible studies for participants to participate in. All right, so do not click add study yet. There are some more advanced settings we also need to look at. All right. So first of all, you shouldn't probably need this, but prerequisites just means that participants need to have completed a certain study before participating in yours. And then disqualifiers means that they cannot have participated in a separate study, like for example, a pilot study if they choose your study. And then for course restrictions, there should be no reason to restrict the course that your participants come from, so leave this untouched. For now, you can also ignore the invitation code and the study URL, which is for online studies, and we are discussing in-person studies. All right, so for researcher notification, you can choose these settings as you like. It's really up to personal preference. However, it might be good to have notifications when participants drop your study, especially when you're only running one person at a time. And then researchers at time slot, this really is just, you can assign different people in your methods group to be in charge of different time slots, aka when you will run your study. All right, so for shared comments and private comments, you can make notes that are visible to other researchers and PIs in the system. And then for research alternative, this will be automatically set to no since you are creating a study and not a type of alternative experience for students to get credit. All right, now you're going to click Add this study. All right, so after you hit Add Study, you should be directed to the screen, but you are not done yet. The next step will be adding time slots for your study. You do this by going to Study menu, View Administrator Time Slots, and add multiple time slots. All right, so number of time slots. This is the number of sessions you will run, so not the number of people. So for example, if you were running 5 sessions with 10 people each, this number would be 5 because you're running 5 sessions. So you could just put 5. All right, so for the date, you can only add sessions for one date at a time. So you can see you can only add it for one date at a time. If you want to do your study over multiple dates, you will need to click multiple time slots again and do this for as many dates as you want. So for start time, this is the time the first session on a specific date will start. You should enter it manually in the following format: 9 a.m. And then free time between is the time between you running different sessions. So it might be a good idea to add some time here if you need time to set up or prepare for the next session, especially if you're running on the same day. All right, so now it's time for the location. So you cannot put the location unless you have reserved a room for me. So after I have approved your room reservation, you're going to click the room that you reserved. And so, for example, I did Mercer 225. So you would put it there. Please don't ever change or move a time slot or location without consulting me first. This will lead to chaos, confusion, and we do not want any of that. All right, so don't worry about move time slots to business hours. And then for number of participants per time slot, this should reflect how many participants you want to run one at a time. So for example, you would enter 10 if you wanted to run 10 people at a time. Right now we're going to click Add. All right, and now we see like an overview of what we have. And then you can hit Add Selected Time Slots. All right, so now it's time to finally add your study, and you're going to click the little home page, and then you're going to click Studies with Recent Activity. All right. And then this is just the study we just made. Now we're going to hit Send Request button, and then under you're going to choose File and upload a copy of your approved IRB form. I cannot approve your study if you do not have this, so please make sure you include that. Then you're going to hit Press Send Request. There's no notification that says your request has been sent, so once you've sent it, please only once, try not to click the button multiple times. After this, I will review the details of your study and approve it if it looks good, or contact you if it needs some changing, and I will try to work with you to make sure we can get that as seamlessly as possible. It usually takes about 48 business hours for this to occur, so please plan ahead. Don't try to approve your study a night before you plan to run it. Just don't do it. That's not an idea. I will email you and keep you updated on the progress of your study. Okay, so once your study has been approved, you will need to come to my office and get green sign-in sheets for your participants to sign in on, as well as pink participation sheets that you will give to each of your participants after they have completed your study as physical proof they were there. You should pick these up a few days before you plan to run the first session of your study, so please remember to plan and think ahead throughout this whole process. Because if you need to get pink and green slips and I'm not there during office hours, then you can't run your study because you have to have those. When it comes to actually running your study, please remember to check the roster of who has actually signed up for your study. Sometimes people will go to the wrong room or get confused, so it's vital that you make sure whoever's there in your room is there for your study. If someone is late to your study, it's okay to tell them that they won't receive credit. That one is on them. But if a participant shows up and meets the restrictions, decides not to participate after reading the informed consent, or decides to withdraw halfway through, you still grant them credit. You should grant credit to your participants ASAP, preferably right after they participate. Go to My Studies. So once you hit My Studies, you're going to see your study that you just created, and then you're going to hit View Your Unaccredited Time Slots and grant credit to those who showed up and participated in your study. Remember, 30-minute study is a half credit and 60-minute study is 1 full credit. If someone didn't show up, put them as an unexcused no-show. If you feel like someone is an excused no-show, email me immediately explaining the situation and I'll take care of it. See, the participants have a specific number of no-shows they are allowed to have, and if they exceed that limit, then I have to take care of it. So please keep me up to date with that. Once you've run every session of your study, congratulations. Now you'll need to turn in the green sheets and informed consents to me, or if you have any extra pink slips. My office hours are Monday, Wednesday, 12 to 1 p.m., Tuesday, 3:30 to 4:30, Thursday, 3:30 to 4:30, and then Friday, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. And I work in Mercer Suite 320. If you have any questions, you can email me or we can arrange a Zoom meeting. And if not, I look forward to improving your studies. Thank you.